Hello and welcome to Healing with Ben. I'm Ben, obviously. Today we're talking to Lydia Killion. She is a manifestation, a self-concept empowerment coach, and we talk all things grief, manifestation, and authenticity. And I really, truly believe this will help you. Hope you enjoy. Lydia, thank you for being here. How are you? How's your day going?
I am great, thank you. I was at boot camp at 9 o'clock, so I feel like I've really took over the Monday today. I've started the week great.
Nice. We homeschool, so I couldn't tell you what fucking day it is. My youngest is in a phase now where he's up at like 4 a.m. on a good day. So 9 a.m. for me is like midday.
So after this, I'm going to bed.
You and I have been friends for 12 months now, I want to say. I think I was on your podcast. I'll pop a link to that. Yeah, I think I was in Spain, and we was in Spain April to July, so it's probably exactly a fucking year ago. And knowing us, it'll be probably the exact day.
Yeah, probably.
I think your videos popped up on my For You page on TikTok, and manifestation is something that changed my life, but I don't talk about it as much. It's difficult to say, because I would say the majority of my followers had rough childhoods, so it's hard to say, yeah, you create your life.
Yes.
People think I didn't choose this.
Yeah, people think I didn't choose the trauma that I went through, but I don't think it's a case of when we're kids. I don't think we create the trauma. We haven't got the mental capacity to understand that we can create better.
Yeah.
When we are told that this is your story, this is your life, we say sir, yes sir, and that kind of leads me into why I am honored to have you here today, because you are this self-concept fucking queen. And it's difficult. Like I said, the majority of my followers have had rough childhoods, so the self-concept, the idea, the story that we are given about ourselves, usually, like I said, given, it's not something that we usually create. So a lot of the time, in my case, in my followers' case, it's negative. So we have this low self-esteem and this self-doubt and this idea that we won't amount to anything because we were told so. So for people who've never heard of self-concept itself, how can you describe it? How would you introduce people to it?
So I would describe it as the ideas, the thoughts, the feelings and beliefs that you hold about yourself and what you identify with in terms of I'm not good enough, I can't do that, I'm broke, I'll always be broke, that kind of life isn't for me. And kind of the boxes you place yourself in when it comes to your belief system, it's not necessarily your characteristics or your personality, although that can come into it, but it's more what you truly believe about yourself. Many of us suffer with I'm not worthy, I'm not wanted, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve nice things. Like we said, either through life experiences or by somebody else making us feel that way. And you're right, as a child, we don't have the judgment to know that we can kind of change that. And that's how I was introduced to it when I was 16. I was given the book The Secret, and it was like, whoa, like I can change how I think. Like, and I was just really open to it. But I know if you have had a rough childhood, you're not going to be as open to it because it seems so alien to think we can have a life where we do feel valid and we do feel like we deserve a seat at the table and we do feel worth it. So it is probably a little bit harder in those circumstances. And I never bullshit anybody with this kind of stuff, but it is so worth it. And I would encourage your followers to see it as a learning process rather than an overnight thing, and see it as I'm just going to learn a new way of how to think and how to be. And if you take it with a real approach of I'm just going to try and get a little bit better at practicing this feeling every single day, rather than next week I'm going to totally feel like I'm worth it and everything's going to manifest, because that's going to feel too alien to you.
Exactly, it's foreign. If it's the story every day is like the way I describe it, right, which is not very good. If you wake up in the morning and your parents hit you in the face and say you are the worst child in the world, they do that every day, and on your 15th birthday you wake up and they don't. You're going to feel fucking scared. It's going to feel dangerous to not feel that way about yourself. So if you, like I said, it's a bad way to describe it, but if every day is the same and you are taught to think the same way, it doesn't have to be parents. The way I see it as a parent now is, as kids, it's unnatural to have doubt, to feel
shit about ourselves.
100%.
My daughter in particular, I got a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old at the moment, one due in like 2 or 3 months. My daughter is 4. If we go to Disney, she thinks that's her castle. And it's not because I'm a good parent, it's because I haven't brought her down. I haven't given her anything to think shit about herself. And I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago, we were walking up the park and someone said hello to us on the way up. And she said, they're probably saying hello to me because they think I'm beautiful. And which, yeah, so, but that's her self-concept. So as an adult, if someone says you're ugly, she'd think, what the fuck are you talking about? Because it goes against her. So for people who grew up thinking that my life is shit, I'm not going to amount to anything, people like us to say, actually, you can just change the way you fucking think, step by step. It's uncomfortable because peace is sometimes out of our comfort zone. So it feels unsafe. I think that spirituality, people who find spirituality had to, especially in my case. And I'll pop the links for the podcast we did for your podcast under this. But I had to find spirituality. I had to find this unintentionally, but the trauma I went through in the sort of fucking death up close and personal I went through in 2020, and then my wife was pregnant, I had to pull myself out. So I just started reading. I think The Secret was the last book I read, and I read every fucking manifestation book before it without meaning to. I thought they were about money and mindset, and I was like, well, if I can get more money and improve my mindset, then I can be a better father when my child is born. So I kept reading. So for me, the big shift was manifestation. That's what pulled me out of autopilot, pulled me out of survival that I was in for so many years. It was as if I woke up, fucking finally. It was like these books were saying you can change your self-concept, change the idea of who you are, create your life, and sort of ignore the reality you have and manifest a better one. At the start, I was like, this is a fucking cult. Like, you're all just
fucking conspiring
It
together.
definitely seems that way. I'll agree, especially if you go into I don't know if you've ever been in the Reddit forums, but oh my gosh.
No, I haven't.
Friendships don't. It's very strict rules on the manifestation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. What was so for me, it had to be the trauma that pulled me out of it to force me to read it. What was the biggest shift for you, if you could think of one in your journey, that when you thought, oh fuck, this is...
So I've had two. So mine was when I got handed the book when I was 15. I was just about to turn 16. So it was like February 2009, and my grandma had just passed away. My auntie came over from Ireland for the funeral. She had 7 secret books, and she gave us all some. Me and my dad were the only ones that really just loved it and got it. I wouldn't say my self-concept came from anyone purposely trying to get it out of me, but I was chubby, I was ginger, I was freckly. And then when you've got a skinny Italian best friend, it's not the easiest ride in school, and the kids are picking on you. So I feel like my self-concept when I was younger just came from a place of, I don't look like the other girls. I don't look like the pretty blonde girl or the skinny brown-haired girl. So mine was more self-imposed, I'd say, and me just comparing myself to people who didn't look like me. So that was when I found The Secret, and I was like, oh, I can change how I think and feel, and I can manifest anything. Oh, you went off then. I can manifest anything, and I manifested my first job at B&Q, my first car, the Corsa, loved it, limited edition, it was great. But then my second round came through grief. And, this time 3.5 years ago, I was still in the proper grips of grief. I lost my best friend really suddenly, probably been grieving for about 4 or 5 months at that point. And I was just like, I need to fucking change. Like, this needs to go. This has to go. I can't keep living like this. I can't do this anymore. This is unbearable. He doesn't get the chance to live anymore. So me sitting here being sad over him and making my life shit as well is only actually doing his memory a disservice. That's how I saw it in the end. I was like, I'm actually not paying homage to him in any way, because I'm sat on the sofa crying and chasing dickheads and, partying the pain away and self-medicating. And it's like, what kind of life is that for me to live through this grief? And Tony Robbins spoke about how grief leaves a hole and you can fill it up with love, or you fill it up with sadness. And I was like, no, I'm going to fill up mine up with love. Like, I'm going to fill the void up. And I just really just thought to myself, I'd not long been introduced to self-concept, because although those 15 years prior, however long it was, I was manifesting, but it was like I'd get something and then I'd lose it. And then it felt like I was really just constantly chasing things, rather than I would get the thing and I still wouldn't be happy. And I realized there was a lot of internal stuff that was going on within me. And it was that uncomfortable moment where you're like, oh God, I'm going to have to deep dive into the depths of my soul to kind of change this. But it was the best thing I ever did for myself. And it genuinely wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. The trouble with your mind is it prefers a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. So it's going to do far more to remove you from pain, that the threat it thinks of this new life. And so it's going to do far more to, let me get my train of thought. It's going to do more to keep you in your familiar pain than move you to an unfamiliar pleasure, because what's unfamiliar is a threat to the brain. So even though this new self-concept, this new life, seems like it's what we want, like you said, if you've been told for 15 years you're not good enough and suddenly you start changing that, your brain's on high alert. No, this isn't safe. And so there was a lot of nervous system regulation that had to come with my journey as well, which is why I teach people to do that on top of, you know, trying to change your self-concept.
It's, again, people who find spirituality sometimes have to.
Yeah.
Grief is love with nowhere to go. I'm not sure.
Where
100%. I think it might have been, no, I know, oh, you'll know his name, Andrew. He was Spider-Man. He said something like that. And he said, all this grief is how much I loved her.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to say it's a gift, but how nice is it to have something we loved so much that we miss?
It's a caterpillar. It's a butterfly, and it can transform you if we know how to. Obviously, not everyone's given the tools or has the capacity to be able to do that, depending on their situation. But it can really transform you if you can allow it to.
It's so in 2020. Thank you for sharing. In 2020, I found my grandfather dead. 5 months later, my father died, heart attack, 44 years old, and we'd argued at the time. And for me, it wasn't then. It was about living life through as if they were looking through my eyes. So I would take walks that my grandfather would like to take, as if he was there with me, looking through my eyes. At the start, I couldn't listen to music or look at music that they liked or look at photos of them without breaking down crying. But we had to. Dr. Wayne Dyer said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I had to change my perspective from being sad that they weren't here to being happy that they were. The memories that I have. You said about, I wrote B&Q because when I was a kid, I wanted to work in Woolworths. How old are you? You're like a
year older than me?
32.
32. I'll be 30 next month. You
remember Woolworths?
Turning 30 is amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in my fucking prime. I feel like I finally look like me.
Yes, I love that. That's how I felt turning 30, yeah.
Okay. My wife says I'm getting old, but there we are. You remember Woolworths?
Yes, loved Woolworths.
Right.
When I was a kid, I was like, I want to work in Woolworths because that's where I get all the fucking toys. Maybe I get some fucking discounts, and I probably still think the same fucking thing. And I wanted my first job to be in Woolworths, and then Woolworths just fucking closed down. There was one in my town, and it closed down. And then my first job was in Peacocks. I was like
part-time when I was in school and then in uni.
Yeah, I was working at Peacocks, and I went into it was in the same building that Woolworths was in my town. And must have been my first week there. I went upstairs to the storeroom, and there was a sticker right up on the ceiling that said "Sold by Woolworths." And I was like, "Oh, fuck! Maybe I've put this out there somewhere." I couldn't have put my finger on it at the time. So for people who have this voice in their head that they think is theirs, but it was given to them, whether by parents, whether by society, whether themselves, whether it's not whether themselves, whether this voice is given to them, but they believe it's their own. Where is the best starting point?
I have 3 favorite affirmations that I kind of give everyone as a base to start with, because I encourage people to look into their insecurities and their limiting beliefs, but sometimes it's a bit too in at the deep end when we do that. If you have got a really bad self-concept and you really don't like yourself, and you're almost at a point where you can't even really accept yourself, and you can't accept that there is something better for you, I really believe in "I am enough" is the best affirmation. Marissa Peer has a wonderful training on this. I think she did it with Mind Valley, and it's on YouTube. It's free, and the training's incredible. And she was talking about how the celebrities she's worked with, the athletes, the whoever she's worked with, their main kind of internal voice that said they were bad was the one that said they weren't good enough. So I believe if we start working on that area, I deserve the world, or you could say I deserve nice things, or even I just deserve a little bit better than what I've got. If you really want it, I'm not a big believer in doing forceful affirmations. If you need to soften it, or if you want to say present tense, future tense, do it. Just make it as soft as possible. And then the third one that I think will set you free is "there is nothing wrong with me." I said that I did a guest talk in someone's membership the other week, and I had one lady crying when I said that, because I don't think we're ever told that. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine as I am. This work that we're doing is not to change you in any way. Anyone listening, it's not to change you in any way. It's to make you realize there was nothing to change in the first place. You were fine exactly as you are. You were born perfect as you were. And that's what we're bringing to the realization too, that there's nothing wrong with you. And again, a lot of people can't get into affirmations because it feels too alien. It feels like a lie. So I'm a big believer in a holistic approach to self-concept. And I would just start by writing down 10 reasons every single day as to why you are good enough. And it might feel like a stretch at first. It might feel really hard. Then eventually you'll start doing 10 easily. And then I want you to go to 15. And then I want you to go to 20. And then I want you to keep going until your fingers hurt. And eventually, the more you start to see, like, actually, I am a nice person. I'm not an axe murderer. I'm pretty all right. I'm a nice neighbour. I've never pissed off the neighbours. I'm a good friend. You know, there's a whole list of things. Even, you know, I'm a good colleague. That I've got a nice smile. It doesn't matter how little that evidence is. Your brain is like a file cabinet, and it stores a whole bunch of evidence for each belief. So if you've been told for the past 20 years you're not good enough, you've got a whole bunch of evidence to that, and we need to counteract it, and we need to build up a new evidence file for the new belief. So I would actively encourage people to just start doing that every single day.
Thank you. Affirmations is one of the biggest things for me, and it was in all these books I was reading. It was like, get a pen and paper. There's a power with pen and paper. In my mind, I was like, and when I started, I was in the summer. So I was in the garden, and I was like, I'm not going to go into the house to find a fucking pen and paper to come back out and write it down and then read it out in my mind anyway. But it gave me the platform that I have now, these affirmations, which I'll get into later. But we said about good enough, and something which often creates a shift in people's minds is, if you feel like you're not good enough, then question who you're not good enough for. Like, good enough for who? So sometimes it's, again, if it is that voice from our parents, then the answer is very fucking obvious. If you had a B in your exam in school, and your parents said, why not an A? Then you always have to strive for more. So it's good enough for who? And I love what you said about, I was going to say the same thing, about there's nothing wrong with you. This self-help journey looks different for people who didn't have the childhoods they should have, because we are conditioned to feel broken, like something's wrong with us. So we fix something within ourselves, and then we look for the next thing to fix. Then we look for the next thing to fix, because we have this bullshit assumption that one day we'll fix the last thing and then we'll be healed. But it doesn't work like that. A lot of people come to me and they say, I want to fix this. I want to fix this about myself. And then, exact same like you said, I tell them that there's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to be fixed. We can always improve, but you don't need to be fixed. And then it's a release, because it's the opposite of what they were told as kids.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, we end up chasing validation when we're in that state as well, through maybe people that aren't that positive for us, their opinions, maybe outside things like cars and whatever. I think when we always think there's something to fix, we kind of fill that void as well. If we don't know how to do it with our own validation, we start looking at outside things to validate us, and we just never, it's like that unsatiating thing. It just never seems to satisfy us. There's always the next thing and the next thing.
When I quit uni, people were like, oh, you need to have a job, or you're not going to go anywhere because you haven't got your degree. My lecturers, I went straight into a factory job, and my lecturers were like, oh, you're fucking happy now, you should have stayed. And then I took a £10,000 loan out, I bought a car, went on holiday, and then blew the rest. And I posted a photo of Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street throwing money off his yacht, and I posted that on Instagram, and I said, if you think you're bad with money, I just spent £10,000 in 3 weeks, acting like a fucking baller to give that validation to
We've all
myself
been there.
from people that I'd left uni and shit like that, and people in my hometown was like, I just spent £10,000 because I fucking could, where the bank were like, oh, you still have a student account, do you want a loan? I was like, fucking yes please. And I got into fucking debt because I never paid it off. Anyway, affirmations. I spoke about this in your podcast, so I won't bore people, but changed my life, helped me make loads of fucking money, and then I focused on losing money, and then I lost fucking everything. And then I had to get back into it. And I think that's where our stories are also very similar, both on government benefits, both at our fucking low.
I quit uni as well.
There we go. And then thought, you know what, I'm going to change this around, and then fucking did. But when I was at that low point, I thought, I just didn't want to look at manifesting, especially writing down affirmations, because I knew that I focused on losing money and I fucking lost it all. So I said to my wife at one point, because we we were counting baby formula, baby milk for the baby. I'd seen if we had enough till payday, till the benefits came in. And I said, right, I want you to find a place in Spain that we're going to spend 3 months there, because since Brexit, you can only do like 90 days. I said, find a place in Spain on Airbnb and give me an hour every night. I'll go upstairs, I will meditate, I will do my affirmations, and I'll do my visualization in the mirror. Do my visualization. And she was like, I'm not looking for a place in Spain, Ben. We have no fucking money. We can't afford to eat. And I was like, just please. And then one of my, didn't have TikTok. One of my affirmations was, people can't stop giving me money. So I wanted to keep it vague, so I couldn't doubt myself, because I didn't know where it would come from in that affirmation itself. I just kept writing, people can't stop giving us money, giving me money. I think we got married around the same time, so people giving us like wedding money. I was like, oh fuck, maybe this is where that affirmation's coming from. And then that was about 2 months later. I was working with clients, and I didn't have TikTok when I started fucking writing, but I was working with clients from TikTok, and I was writing my notes, and I turned the page, and it said just in the middle, people can't stop giving me money. And I was fucking inundated with clients. I didn't have TikTok, and then it just fucking absolutely blew up. And every time a client mentions to me about their hobby, about something that in my brain, you're like, you could fucking turn this into social media. You could fucking vlog this and change your life outside of everything else we're working with. And then my brain is like, here's your business plan. Let me fucking work this for you. I tell everybody to do it. And a lot of my clients do. They're musicians, or they want to start their art business. And I'm like, you'll post a fucking 1,000 videos, they'll be shit, and then one video will take off. How do you show up authentically, unapologetically you online? Were there any obstacles you had to get over? What made you be comfortable being you?
So I come from a goofy family, so we're all ourselves. So that's helped me a lot. Like we all, we all laugh at our own jokes, and we're not afraid to be ourselves. None of us are really, to be honest. So I'm lucky in that respect that I have had those examples. But I have actually been coaching since 2016. Not many people know this. I am way back in the Facebook days. That's how old I am. And I would go live on Facebook every single day. And I hired a coach not long after I'd started. And she could not believe the difference in me from the Facebook lives that I was posting. And I was, I was just all prim and proper, and I was sat up straight, and I was like, hi, my name is Lydia and I'm a mindset coach. And then I'd get on the live calls with my coach, and I'd just be chilling like this, and I'd have my Adidas on and my hoops on, and I'd just be swearing like a sailor. And she was like, Lydia, like, the contrast is unbelievable. You cosplay very well as a successful business coach. And she was basically like, this is what people need to see, because that's going to bring your audience in. And definitely back then, it was way more conservative than it is now. No one was really how we are online now. It's pre-TikTok days. Everything was perfect. Instagram. If you were talking about success, it was like the suited and booted kind of days. Like you said, Wolf of Wall Street kind of style. But she really encouraged me to just be myself. And it brought me the most amazing audience back then. Took a little break, took a Stormzy break, because Stormzy took a year off before he made Gang Signs and Prayers, and then he did Glastonbury. So I was like, I'm going to have a Stormzy break. I'm having a Stormzy break. I'm having a bit of time off from coaching. I got really pissed off of the online space, and I just didn't like where it was at the time. But then the pandemic happened, and then Taylor died. So that ended up being 3 years. And I actually made my TikTok in secret for the first part. And that really helped me to just show up and talk about manifestation and be goofy. And joining the Creator Fund actually really changed the way I made content, because I used to be a lot goofier in videos before I thought about 30 seconds to keep their attention and make money from it. So I don't do that anymore. I have brought the goofiness back. But there was like a stretch last year where I felt really out of alignment with my content, and it was because of the Creator Fund, because I was thinking about hooks and
yeah
instead of just being myself. And it I think that stopped me hitting the goals I wanted to hit for a long time, because I was trying to focus too much on making it perfect rather than just making it me. But I'm just a firm believer in authenticity, and the right people will be drawn to you when you're in your natural state. And I also just think, okay, yeah, people can see it and they can laugh, but they're not paying my bills. They're not paying my bills. They're not spending their Monday doing what they want like I am. So I really haven't got any time for their opinion. And the reason why I did it in secret, because when I used to do it on Facebook Live, oh my God, I had all my friends and family on there. I don't know how I had the balls to do it back then, because I was in like 22, 23. But this time round, because I was still in the grieving process, and I was grieving quite loudly in the terms of the people around me knew I was really struggling. And I didn't want any. I actually had an ex say to me, like, how can you help people? Like, look at you. That's not a very nice thing to say. That shows what my self-concept was like at the time, because I was entertaining that kind of behaviour. But I just wanted to keep it mine and private until I was comfortable enough to share it with the world. And then by the time everyone did find it, it had like 50,000 followers anyway. So at that point, I've already proved them that I can do it.
Yeah.
So much I want to unpack there. What other people think of you is none of your fucking business.
None of my business.
When I look back at my videos now, and my accent has changed, so I also find outside of my videos I'm a different fucking person because I sound more Welsh. I don't know. I do it unintentionally now.
I kind of feel like you kind of have to a little bit online, because I bet you get a lot of American people.
Most of them, yeah.
I get a lot of. Can I have subtitles?
Yeah.
Can you put captions on this, please? I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Most of my clients, most of my followers are, I think it's like 40% American. So I think that's why my accent has changed too. And like when I'm working with clients, I'll say groceries instead of doing a shop in Tesco. But when I look back at my videos, every day TikTok is like, here's a video you posted 2 years ago or even a year ago. And I genuinely, I want to scroll 2 years back and delete the video. Because it doesn't, like I said, now I feel like I look like me. Looking at these old videos, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And my hair was so fucking short, and I was like, I just doesn't feel like me. And I would put my best tracksuits on. I would even charge my fucking Apple Watch to put on in a video to look like I had more money than I did, sat on fucking benefits, to look better for people. But I also didn't put my name on there. Didn't put it on any other fucking social media.
No, I didn't.
I didn't know TikTok worked either. So one day my next door neighbor's son came out and he was like, oh, me and my missus love your videos. I was like, oh, fuck. And then my mother found out.
It's scary. It's just like, you're not meant to watch them. They're not for you. You're NFI.
Yeah, but I'm in a fucking tricky thing at the minute because last year, I'm just oversharing. Last year, this guy reached out to me. We're good friends now. He has his life insurance company, and he was like, would you do 3 ads for us? I was like, yes, great. Done 3 videos, and then he was like, would you be the face of the brand? And I was like, yeah, fucking great. So I was doing like loads and loads and loads and loads of videos for him. They launched in January this year. And now they spend like, I would say, I think he said, well, I won't say the money actually, just in case. They spend a lot of fucking money on ads. And all these videos are coming out like every day. And I will go out in town and go to Tesco. And people are like, oh, I've seen your videos. And I mind them like, which ones? And they're always like, oh, the life insurance ones. And I haven't got Facebook, so I don't fucking see them. So I've worked 2 years to build this brand for myself. And then people see life insurance videos and think that's what I'm fucking doing now. People think it's my company.
No, mine is that I occasionally do rapping videos, because if I wasn't a coach, I would love to be a superstar rapper, if I'm honest. Like that's like, I've been rapping Eminem all day to get me in the mood for the podcast. It just, my brain just melts. Like my brain's like this all the time, but if I'm rapping, it's calm. The biggest videos that I have done that have popped off is me rapping 8 Mile and me rapping a song from 2005. And like, it is like you said, you'll do all those videos and just one random one will pop up. You'll get known for something completely different.
There was one video I did. It's my most viewed video. It was like 8 million. It was just one day at the start, like 2.5 years ago. I was like, fuck, I haven't posted a video today. And I was playing with my son on the floor. So I put my camera down and I think I was just kissing my son. And then I posted it a couple of seconds and I wrote on there, my mother never hugged me because her mother never did, and this is me to my son every 0.3 seconds. 8 million views, and I posted it because, and I still have this way of thinking now, which we'll get into fucking imposter syndrome. I still have this way of thinking now that if I don't post every day, or at least every other day, I will disappear off the face of the earth, and no one will ever need me ever again.
Yeah, I had a week off, not last week, the week before. I had a really bad week with PMDD. So I'm a mindset coach, but I still have hormone problems and bad days and sad days. I'm not a toxic positivity coach. I believe we need to, if you had a cut on your arm, you wouldn't ignore it because it's bleeding and it's ugly and we don't like looking at it. You would go and sort it. So if I'm having a day where I'm sad or I'm crying, like, I'm going to look after myself and I'm going to give myself what I need. A lot of manifestation teachers will tell you to ignore it and be positive and no, that's not me. But I took a week off, and it came to like the end of this week. It wasn't meant to be a week. I didn't know how long it would be. And then it was like, I tried to record some videos last week and I was like, I've lost my rhythm. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. My business is going to so I don't know how to make videos anymore. And then today I've batch created about 20, so it's fine now. But you do get that I think as well, because we've built it, it becomes like a baby. Obviously, I've got no kids, so it's the closest thing I've got to a baby. But you are precious over it because it's something you've built. So I think it's normal to feel those fears around it. But I just try and parent myself as much as I can. Just be like, you're going to be fine. Your business is still there. It's fine. Yeah. You teach people this. You have to practice what you preach.
Yeah, exactly. My last seminar I did, right, at the end, and I hate saying it. I can't even look at people when I say it. People queued up to see me, and it was the third time this has happened, this particular thing. This woman said, can you write down, you can't be a good child to a bad parent. Use a pen and paper, can you write it down? And I was like, why? And she's the third person who's had it, I've written it down, and they've had it tattooed in my right hand on their skin. And it's fucking...
That's amazing.
For this second, I'm like...
Why? There is something, and I can see on paper that what I do helps people, but in my brain I'm still like, not to that fucking extent, surely. So for these, to hit these hurdles of when you face imposter syndrome, logically I can say that's not my voice, and I'm just repeating the voice that I was always told, but it's still very fucking difficult to shake. Do you have any advice there with imposter syndrome?
I think particularly in your case, I think of the quote where it says like a butterfly never sees the colour of its wings. Like the butterfly doesn't realise how beautiful it is. And I think we all have that in some way, shape or form, whether you're a creator or not. We all go through imposter syndrome, whether it's, you know, I can't be a mom, I'm not good enough, I can't be a good girlfriend. I have that in relationships. That's one I've really struggled with, is I'm not good enough, because all of my relationships now, that's all I've experienced, is making someone else making me feel like I'm not good enough. And I feel like you have to kind of take your eyes out of it. And in your case, I'd say, well, what would your wife say about you? What would your kids say about you? And they would think you're the best thing in the world. And kind of take our opinion out of it and kind of see you how somebody else would see you. And especially with the amount of people you helped on a daily basis, like, you are changing people's lives. Why wouldn't you, of all people, deserve to feel good about yourself? But imposter syndrome is a really tricky one, because again, I don't think I've ever come across the phrase imposter syndrome until about 2 years ago. So it's not even like a wide known phenomenon where, oh yeah, you've got imposter syndrome, yeah, totally cool, here's a book to sort you out with this. It's just not that dealt with. But I did a course in November, and I don't even want to say the name of the course, but it was called How to Be Famous. And it's by a coach called Whitney Euland, and she's incredible. And it was basically about retraining your mind to perceive things differently and to train your nervous system. And one of the biggest things that we worked on was self-compassion. Because a lot of things, like big stars have self-compassion, they like themselves. And none of this was to do with like getting followers. The title is very misleading, which is why I'm a bit like, I was thinking, oh my God, my accountant's going to see that I've paid for a course that says How to Be Famous. Like, but I knew that I had this imposter syndrome with my followers. When people in my hometown said, I've seen you on TikTok, it made me embarrassed. And it made me not want to post. And I had about 75 or 80k followers at the time, and that's something I should be really fucking proud of. I built that up through stages of grief, but I'm embarrassed about it, and it made me want to retreat and recoil and not post anymore. And I was like, I need to change this, because if not, my followers gonna be affected from me feeling like this. And so that's why I signed up with her. And it was a lot about self-compassion. And I would probably say, of course you're feeling like this, Ben, because for the first however many years of your life, you were told not to stand out, not to show off, not to be something that you didn't think you could be. You were conditioned in that way. So let's give little Ben like a pat on the back. He's done really great. Of course you're going to feel like this, and like gently just move your way through the emotions, rather than I'm going to feel like a rock star tomorrow. Is that just gentle weaving, gentle parenting, like just really holding your own hand through it, of saying, well, why not me? The subconscious mind, have you heard of ask-formations?
No.
Ask-formations are like, God, universe, why am I getting so much money?
Why
am I growing so many followers right now? But your subconscious mind is designed to answer questions. It's a very, very faithful servant. So it's designed to answer questions. So it's going to start searching for the questions, those answers. So if you start saying to yourself, well, why not me? Why am I not the person surely I'm the best person, because I've been through a lot of grief, a lot of shit, a lot of bad parenting. Surely I'm the best person to be in this position, to show up for people. It's not good. Like I said earlier, it's about giving yourself that evidence. But it is a training process. It's like I said on a story last week. The weakest muscle you've got is the one that needs the most work in the gym. It needs the most time, love, and attention. For me, it's my triceps. I can't wait to get rid of like all this and just like be like Arnold looking in the gym. So right now, that's my area of attention. Like my abs are fine, my arse is fine. This needs attention for me. It's the area I want to work on. And so whatever the area that because imposter syndrome, it's going to say something different to each person. You can't have this because, and whatever follows after the because is what we need to shine a bit of a light on and work through and reframe.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I think I'm going to watch that back for myself. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Before I let you go, and 2 questions. Okay. Simple questions that people can ask themselves too, but for you. If you could have a conversation, short conversation, a minute-long conversation with 10-year-old you, what would you say?
I'm already crying. I would tell her that there's nothing wrong with her. I would tell her she grows up to be really fucking cool, so don't worry about it. And I would tell her if it was that I was going to relive this life again, I would say brace yourself, but you're strong enough and you will get through it. And you are so much stronger than you will ever give yourself credit for right now. But you are going to prove to yourself how strong you are. Time and time and time and time again. And you'll get through every single thing. And the one thing that I've kept with me for the past couple of years is that you are with you through everything. We have great friends, we have great support systems, but we pick ourselves up every single day. We make sure we're still, you're still a father to your kids no matter what you're feeling that day. I've got to be with me forever. So I better start liking myself and getting on board with her, because I'm looking in the mirror right now, like she's going to be with me forever. I may as well like her. So I would just really encourage my 10-year-old self to just start liking yourself, because I hated myself up until the age of about 27, I'd say.
Nice answer. Last question. I think you'd have good answers here. What is a truth that you live by now that you didn't believe 5 years ago?
Romans 8:18, the pain of what you're feeling is nothing compared to the joy that's coming. And I really believe I don't want any more universe. This is not an invitation, but I really believe that everything that I went through, I had to go through. And I'm a big believer that everything that's happened had to happen.
Thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you for the services that you have, for your videos? Where can they find you?
So I'm on TikTok. I'm Lydia Killion 444. And on my podcast and on Instagram, it's Get a Fucking Life Babe, but it's FING. So it's like hyphenated.
Sweet. I'll pop the links in the description here too. Thank you so much for your time. I'll speak to you soon.